Welcome back. So glad that you're here. How are you? I am super well and excited to be here on a Wednesday, the day before my birthday. It's actually John and I's birthday both tomorrow. We have the same birthday, so that's always a fun celebration for us and our family. So anyways, welcome back. I am super happy to have you here and to keep talking about like all that's happened. I was having a chance to go back and like review the past couple of videos. Like, do you notice how like shocked I am? Like genuinely like shocked. I'm like, oh, I actually think I did it. Right? Because I've never been to this place where I am now in my life. Ever have I ever experienced planet Earth in the way that I am now. Right? And that all has to do with going within, not without. Right? It's finding the abundance and the magic of you and your internal universe that's unfiltered from everything around us, right? Because that's not us. Everything around us is not us. Everything around us has nothing to do with us other than providing a nice backdrop, right? But then also to inform us of who we are and how we're being in the world, right? I mean, everything. And it's in making the shift to what you're paying attention to and going from the external to the internal, right? And starting to live within, not without, right? Because within lies your magic, right? Within lies your abilities and your skills and your sensitivities. But how tuned into your sensitivities and your skills and your magic are you going to be aware of if you're living out there as opposed to in here, right? It's such, I continue to like, because I've never been here before, I'm trying to language it in a way that still makes sense. But I'm still discovering it, like very much so, right? And I am shocked at how I hear myself differently, how I experience myself differently, how I experience the world differently, because honey, that ain't none of my business. That ain't none of my business, right? What you guys have going on, like that's your deal. Go ahead, you do you, you know? And until you come in and like interrupt my, personal space or life, like I have no opinion on that. Ooh, the angel of neutrality is going to be so happy. Maybe her and I are going to start to have a relationship now. Now that I'm not complaining about everything as I go through my life. Because there's nothing to complain about. Everything is as it should be, right? If we truly have trust dialed up to 1,000%, and trust me, that is up to you. That is a you thing. You can do that. You can just dial it up anytime you want. And experience that expression of yourself through source energy. So, like we were talking about the little bit of the recap of the last 9 videos, right? Good for us. Like that was kind of the work. And I can't go back and watch it without like noticing how shocked I am. I was like, oh, I've actually found joy. I didn't actually think that was a thing, right? But that's the thing about the work, right? Is like you kind of understand. Oh, it's a concept, right? And it feels really kind of ethereal and distant, right? And you don't actually expect it to happen, right? It's as insane as developing, like vampire eyes, right? Like in all those movies when you see them like change in their eyes and suddenly they have a different experience of like the entire planet, and they're like just interacting with everything differently because they're so different, right? it's that level of impossible found in reality. And it amazes me. It amazes me, right? When you actually get into trust, which leads us to joy, right? And understand that everything is as it should be, beyond our intelligence, right? So yeah, I don't always understand. So like, here's one, like, okay, sorry. Too many thoughts all at once. There isn't anything in your life that you can't fix. I firmly believe that, right? It's just finding a purpose for it, isn't it? Like I found a purpose for frustration. Like I found a purpose for dystonia. Like I've even found a purpose for traffic, right? I love traffic. I don't, oh my gosh, like it's so crazy because like I asked myself, I'm like, what would it take for you to enjoy this experience, right? And so then I kind of leveraged the Me 100 thing, right? The party bus, like traveling down the road as I'm like experiencing myself, you know, in connection with, in conjunction to the universe at 1,000% trust, right? Well, first of all, like when you're in that place, you don't need anything different. Like you can be in traffic and be in it, but not of it, right? Remember that one? To be in it, but not of it. And we had an interesting example of this past weekend. My husband and I, we were driving to LA to go see a show. And he was in traffic and of it. I was in traffic and not of it, right? Because I just found the way to experience your heart consciousness in that way. And so like I'm in traffic and I'm just like experiencing myself and exchanging with everything that's around me and just like enjoying the glory of what is, right? And I'm just like in that expression and I'm just like, oh my God. Well, first of all, I drive slow to start with because I love driving, right? Like the journey for me is the destination. That is it, right? And so I'm driving along and I'm like just having a great time and experiencing all that. And my husband is in traffic and of traffic. And he's like getting mad and angry and everything else like this. Anyways, it really just called out to me the difference between this consciousness versus this consciousness, right? Is it your head consciousness? Is it your ego? Is there dissatisfaction? Or are you in your heart consciousness? Are you experiencing the beauty of the moment and connecting strongly with what is? Because what is the magic of the universe. Why is this here? Why is any of it here? Why does any of it exist? Right? That, what is the expression of Creator in this current moment, right? And there's so much beauty in that. You can marvel just at the fact that we exist. We can marvel at the beauty of the world and the landscape and everything around us, right? Because we can light ourselves up. We can find joy and we can resonate widely with what is. There's information there. There's lots of information there, right? But you have to experience what? Yourself and your sensitivities in here, within us, right? The universe that lives within us, because like, it's all the same thing. It's all the same magic, right? We are all created out of stardust that landed on the planet and then populated the planet and then, shablam, here we go. And however you want to prescribe that we found ourselves in that place, right? And whether you want to use science or religion or something in between, a combination of the two. Or whether you want to just trust what is and how we got here, right? Regardless, there was a time where there was no life on planet Earth. And now, look around. I mean, if you can't find magic and marvel and like amazement in that, like, well, if you can't find it in that, there's just more work to do, right? And so it's finding the sensitivities and assigning, right, a purpose to all of these things that you think are negative or that you are experiencing in a negative way, such as traffic, right? I love traffic because, like, normally when I'm driving and I'm doing the me 100 thing and I'm like, oh yeah, baby, right? And I'm experiencing myself in a way that I really enjoy, right? The beautiful scenery is just flying by, and of course where I live is just so beautiful. Like, it's almost impossible not to connect openly with nature when you're up here on the mountain with us, And normally I'm doing that, and it's just that expression and that exchange of energy between me and what is. But when I get in traffic, honey, suddenly it's a show. Oh, people are watching me? Oh. I can definitely work with that. Right? So it takes me 100 to center stage of other people who are all around me trapped in my world. And, I am there in traffic, I'm the idiot with the music cranked up, the dance music just going, and I'm in there and I am chair dancing for everything I got, honey, right? And I am just trying to remind everyone that I come into contact with that this is an option. That you can party your ass off while in traffic in your car and be having the best time of your life. That's a you thing. That's a you thing, right? To assign a purpose to negative things or things that you are experiencing in a negative way and finding why it's there, right? Pain has a purpose. Like we talked about, right? The burning, right? The hand, lift the hand off the stove, right? Burning, bad, right? Because that's pain. It's just information that's being delivered to you in a very energetic way to get your attention, right? It's not bad. It's not inherently a bad thing. It's just we've prescribed a bad, experience to it, right? Because it's painful, obviously. But it also serves a purpose, doesn't it? Right? Like frustration. When we get into frustration, I experienced this today in traffic, right? And I was in traffic and I was in a rush and this guy coming up the mountain was going very slow and there was another car in front of me, so I couldn't ride his ass and try and encourage him to go forward like we do as humans. Move it faster! Right? So maybe that was a moment I wasn't enjoying traffic. Anyhow, get back to the point. I was getting frustrated in behind the slow driver, right? And I just had to, first of all, I realized my angst was out there, right? And so then my angst in here, what does that say? What is that little bit of pain trying to deliver to me in terms of information? Right? Let's just get to the kernel of it. What does it contain? Why is it there? What does it mean? Right? And not in a judgy way or a mad way, legitimately, what are you? Right? Why is this in my life? So I took a look at it and I was like, oh, this is just me in my ego needing to have the world arranged in a certain way in order to be happy. I immediately moved out of that. And I immediately moved into trust that maybe, I don't know, maybe this slow car was preventing me from getting in an accident a mile up there. I don't know. I don't know that's true or that's not true. It's just finding a new possibility, right? And opening your mind a little bit to things and trusting that things in the world are there for a reason beyond your understanding or knowledge, right? And when we dial into, right, our heart consciousness, and I've just found this thing, when I tap my sternum right here, that's that's my trust button, right? And whenever I do this, right, I can just dial up that trust and be in that experience and that expression of myself that remains in communication with what is, right? So, it is a total game changer when you find that level of trust with an intelligence of the universe that's greater than what we as humans can do or accomplish, right? Right? So now what do we do, right? I mean, I'm in this crazy place, and it's like, I've kind of been like, oh, okay, now what? Wasn't actually expecting to get here. But now that I am, like, what do I do with it, right? Because I'm just like, I mean, my cup runneth over, honey. I am like seated in joy. I truly am. And it's just amazing that I can dial that up for myself. It's so simple. It's so simple, and you can access it anytime you want. It's just amazing. So that's our mandate, isn't it? That's our mandate. Because how we're going to take down the NRA, honey, is we're going to help everybody evolve to the point where they abandon their need for safety. When you live in conjunction with what is, and you have 1,000% trust in the universe, you don't need a gun. In fact, the entire idea of a gun or anything that is violent or may inflict harm on others, right? Coupled with the removal of the concept of safety from your mind, if we did that to a large percentage of the planet and brought them up here to the party, right? There would be no need for guns. That's what we need to do, right? We need to party bus this thing, right? All across the country and show people joy. Have them get off all of their damn prescription meds and all this other stuff. That's not where it's at, honey. That's not even the problem. Right? We as a country are experiencing a spiritual problem, not a medical problem, not a mental health problem. Well, I mean, it kind of is, but like, let's look at the root cause. And that's my issue with Western medicine, as I have, been battling that with dystonia and trying to work my way through that nightmare, right? And how that, anyways, our issue is a spiritual one, right? Not a medical one. Not as much a mental health. The mental health issues that we have in this country are the result, right, of us being out of alignment. Well, I just found out how to get back into alignment, so I'm like, bitch, let's go. All right? Like, this is happening, honey. Like, we need to do this, and I want to get all of you up to speed into the party bus so that we can not only travel the country, but we can teach everyone who will hear us that this is the way moving forward. It's the good human agreement, right? It's the higher level of consciousness that says we understand that if we have a higher level of consciousness at all, that if we have consciousness within us at all, that we understand the mandate to immediately move into teaching. That anybody who understands any of these concepts must immediately start teaching it to others. We are running out of time, and we have to elevate the vibration of this planet. I feel like I have found solutions, kind of accidentally, on purpose. I don't know. Right? And these solutions, right, are free of the ego, free of ick, and have so much protection for you from the universe when you get here, right? So go on vacation, right? Join us. Understand how we get into this place, because this is possible. This is more than possible, right? And I don't want to go back through and dissect the last 9 videos like I thought I was going. I mean, you have hours worth of video there, me already explaining it. I don't need to explain it again, right? Just do what I did, right? Get out of the basement. Close that door. Learn to trust yourself. Learn what yes feels like internally, and learn what a no feels like internally, so that when you ask yourself a question, you know the answer. And you know that you know the answer. And you can be seated in that truth because you trust yourself, you trust your gut, right? And you've developed a relationship with trusting yourself from that place, from that deep, deep place, right, of truth. In my first book, Jack actually has, it's like the end of the book. It's like, it's very kind of epic. And anyways, Jack actually, because he goes internally and has this adventure and actually comes face to face with what we call the oracle, or your, gut consciousness, right? Excuse me. And anyways, so that's an interesting part of the book as well. But we need to be in here developing that communication tool. The gut, you can always trust. The gut is your second brain, right? Your gut is where a lot of our consciousness lives. And it lives deep. I mean, the deepest part of the universe, the deepest truth within the universe is held there, right? And it's just learning to listen to it and knowing how it communicates, because the gut only says three things. The gut will tell you yes, it'll tell you no, or it'll tell you danger. Those are the three words it knows. That's it. Yes, no, danger. Okay? So when you feel yourself in a situation, you're feeling danger from your gut, but your mind's trying to override it because you want to be a good person, what you're going to listen to? This is a lifesaver. Always, always listen to your gut. Never here, right? Because our consciousness expands as it kind of heads south. Next thing you know, you're just thinking with, no kidding. That's not higher level of consciousness, although it is fun. Anyhow, sorry. Right? So the mind is all chatter and information that's going 1 billion miles an hour, right? And it's just like fraught with, it's like standing on, it's like being in the middle of a freeway on foot. Well, the cars are just, like, there's just too much going on, right? And it's chaos. But then when we drop down into the heart, right, into our heart consciousness and experience the world through that tether of trust with the universe, right? Once we get into that, whew, man, I mean, you just start to, like, you vibe differently, you inhabit yourself differently, and therefore, by default, you inhabit the world differently. That's how we change the vibration of the planet, right there, right? Because if we're all standing on Mother Earth and radiating with this much joy, because that has been her mandate, and we are listening, and we are receiving, and we feel whole and centered, right? Oh my gosh, there's just so much beauty in this work that I'm continually just in awe of the shift. And I mean, really the closest thing I can put to it is like those movies where you see like the vampire eyes kick in, and you see how they start to like experience energetically the difference. Because suddenly when you're inside yourself and dialed into your sensitivities and not what's wrong, right? When you're dialed into that, you will become more highly sensitive. You will start to feel and exchange with everything that's around you in a new way. You will know yourself anew. You will know contentment, right? And it's mind-blowing. It's just, I mean, it's simply mind-blowing. So anyways, that's where we are. That's where we're going to be focused on moving forward, right? Bringing everybody up into the party, because this is where it's happening, honey, right? Like, I am so excited that we have like a real charge moving forward, right? That we are going to elevate everybody, even if we have to do it out of spite. Because I'll be honest, there's a part of me that started doing this whole process of evolving out of spite. Well, I got to the point where, like, I was just so mad up here. I was so mad and so frustrated that I was willing to do anything to change it, right? And so I'm like, okay, I will show you bitches. And thank God for that, right? Thank God for that. Thank God that I am blessed for that, right? And that my, when I live up here, I live with a lot of frustration, right? And that's very motivating. So thank God for that, right? So everything truly is conspiring for our success. Lean into that. Lean into that. Go within. Focus how you experience the world. Only there. Stay home. Go within. Not without. Right? Because this is where it's happening, honey, right? And it's going to be a good time, I promise you. So thank you so much for today. As always, I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you on Friday. Okay, bye.